Hello everyone, Namaste, welcome to Zindagi Ka Tadka. Today we are with Usha ji, who is a renowned person and we'll learn so many things from her. I am pretty sure about that. So Usha ji, thank you so much. Welcome. Your career has been so stellar that you have done, gold medals and PhDs from all the Ivy League universities, and you have also worked in the US for longest time. So it is great. But then, how did you come up with founding like a YogaKshema, from research to founding a YogaKshema? So let's start from there.
It truly was a calling for me. I only have one daughter. She went to New York to study at Columbia University.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and then I was so much attached to her. It was tough leaving her. So when she went away, I started reading. They say this is a Bible for seekers. It's called Meditation and Spiritual Life. That was authored by Swami Yatishwarananda ji.
Okay.
While reading that book, he says India stands on two ideals, the two pillars. One is renunciation, the other is service, volunteering. I decided that I needed to go back to India to serve. That was the calling. There was a strong pull, but I did not know what to do, how to go about. And he said, no, you still have a daughter, you have the responsibility.
Yes.
You cannot come back now, but you're a seeker, you will come back. Eventually, but now you just have to go back. So I went back, and then I went much deeper into the scriptures at that time. That is what helped me to overcome that emptiness syndrome that was created when my daughter left for college.
I see. So is it then true that most people come into this kind of a path when there is some kind of a problem either happening, or some life-changing situation has happened?
In spirituality, I'm sure you have heard this, they say it is the suffering through which you learn a lot. But it depends on how we learn, what we learn through suffering. Either you can become cynical about the society, about the people, and you can be so bitter, and you can be self-wallowing and then become more self-centered. That can happen too. But when you go through that suffering, rather than avoiding it, pushing it away, or just adjusting, adapting to the situation. But now I say that when we do that, what we call neuroscientifically, quote unquote, we're in the survival mode. Just existential mode, that's all. But until and unless we dive deeper and, as they say, take the bull by the horns, and you need to go through the storm. Animals evolve to survive as a species, and they can evolve as a species, not individually. Whereas humans evolve individually.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
So animals evolve so that they can survive as a species. Whereas us humans, we survive to evolve.
Oh. Evolve to survive and survive
they
to
evolve. That does not mean when I make this statement, when we don't adjust, that means you're a misfit. I'm not talking about from that angle.
Oh, I get it.
Rather than not just adjusting and adapting, you figure out a way. Of course, when you have to adjust, adapt, all of that, you can look at the solution, seek solution from outside. Nothing wrong with that. It's the easiest. If most of the things can be solved outwardly, right? But to be evolving, it has to come from within, because the solution is already within us. To survive, you need to gain something from outside. But to really evolve, you need to drop things.
So then let me just ask you perhaps one of the deepest questions, like what is the purpose of life, at least as a human being? Like, why are we here? Most people ponder over that question, right? So what is your take on that?
This is my kind of final answer, whether you look at it from a neuroscientific perspective or from a spiritual perspective. It's one and the same. The terminologies that I use will be a little bit different, that's all.
Sure.
Whether we know it or not, we are divine beings going through a human experience. And the goal and purpose of our life is to manifest this divinity that is already within us. That's the important thing, that divinity is already within us. It's not that we have to do something to gain from outside. You have to study this many Upanishads to be able to get that divinity. It's there in each and every one, whether we know it or not. And the third thing is, just manifesting the divinity within us is not going to be enough. But we also have to help others to manifest this divinity. Then you can be co-evolving. This is that collective evolution that can happen. Otherwise, it's usually individual, because only people have that capability and capacity to be able to evolve at an individual level. We cannot stop that, and none of us will stop. We should also help others to manifest this divinity. We need to recognize the divinity in others first before we can manifest the divinity in others. The only sadhana is that, if you ask me. It's not the sadhana that how do I manifest my divinity. That is easier. To be able to manifest the divinity in others, innately we are good.
Yes.
There is goodness within each and every one of us, and we are born perfect. And the goal of life is to manifest this goodness, or to manifest this perfection that is already within us.
One time I was having a discussion with a few of my friends, and we were all talking about what's the goal of your life and all, and it's all my age people. They were saying like, I want to earn enough money so that I can sustain my family, that, all those needs are met, and then whenever we want to like have fun, we have fun. For those friends of mine, what does it really mean in practical terms about manifesting the divinity? What good is it going to do to me anyway? Like it's not going to put food on the table, or it's not going to pay the bills of the hospital.
That's such a great question, because even when I was quite young, that is what, I need to make sure I get this grant, or get this paper published, or get this book published, all of that when you're not younger. That's also the goal and purpose of the life at that stage. And that differs from a stage to stage, or from person to person. And in the same person, that goal will keep changing as we grow older and mature and whatnot. Those are all intermediary goals. Even when you look at it from a scientific perspective, evolutionary perspective, the goal and purpose of human life is to evolve into better human beings. Otherwise, we are in that instinct level. Of course, much better than the animals. We need to outgrow that. Only humans have the cerebral capability to be able to do that, because of some of the qualities of the conscious mind, starting with free will and self-awareness. Animals again have such rudimentary self-awareness, but we have the highest capability of being self-aware.
Right.
First, maybe at the body level, and then the mind level, and then the intellectual level, and then going deeper into the feelings and whatnot, to be able to think about our thoughts, think about our feelings, think about our own belief system.
Right.
If we keep expanding our mind, our consciousness, and try to be as loving and all loving possible, forgiving, and being kind, being compassionate, being empathetic most of the time, and with all the people, that is how we keep manifesting the divinity.
Understood. Yeah. This
Very
makes a lot
simple,
more sense.
right?
Yeah. Being a neuroscientist, you know what brain is and all. So I want to understand from you, like, what is brain, what is mind, what are thoughts and all. Like, in your words, how would you define them?
Brain is just like any other organ of the body, but the most important organ. It is capable of everything. We all have immense potential within us. Not just the number of neurons, even that is immense. Each neuron is capable of connecting with tens and thousands of neurons. Why do we have this capability? Not just to get grades, good grades, and earn money, procreate, and be happy materialistically, much more than that. There will be a time for everybody. They will question this.
Yes.
Why? But we don't have that nishtha to keep at that question until we figure out that answer.
How do you define happy and wellness?
Just absence of illness is not just being healthy, and there is a big difference between being healthy and being well.
Yeah.
Having clarity in our thinking and being more compassionate towards others and more loving and kind, and to be creative, to utilize our creative talent that's already within us. Bringing out all these qualities is what makes us well. Somebody need not be healthy to be well.
Okay.
In the sense, after a certain age, for most people, something or other happens to this physical body.
100%.
Absolutely right.
So you're saying health is kind of very much related to physical body, and wellness has a lot to do with the mind also.
Yeah, body, mind, and beyond.
Okay.
And beyond, socially, spiritually, economically, all of this will come into play for being well. So we focus on being healthy most of the times. We need to focus on being well. The well-being is more important, much more than wealth and health. I always say it's the interpersonal relationships that's so important, which is a huge component of being well. Even when the finances are low or health is not that great, but with good relationship, you can still have better quality of life.
You recently went to a solitude trip. What does that mean? What did you do there? Like, how does that help?
My Guru Ramakrishna says, for a spiritual seeker, you need to go away in solitude for a while so you can really focus on yourself.
Okay.
Now I'm going to quote a Sufi mystic, Jalaluddin Rumi, who said, I went looking for God, I found myself. And the other corollary is, I went looking for myself, I found God, right? So many a times when I go away, sometimes I take a particular book and then study, or just for thinking, or to do nothing, whatever it is. And I usually try not to take calls also at that time. So to be really comfortable with yourself and to dive deep.
Some of the work that you have done, you talk a lot about negativity bias that we all humans have. Why do we have it? Like, why don't we have a positivity bias?
Yeah, rather than making value judgments, let's understand what this negativity bias is all about. It was very much necessary. It has evolutionary biological significance, you know. Just imagine a caveman, or in those days they would climb up the tree and jump from hillocks and whatnot, or from a tree. And they needed to remember, or the plants, which plant or whatever is good to eat and what is it not good to eat, all of that. Because of fear, they were able to remember, and they could pass it on to their children. So it had that evolutionary biological significance. We need that bias, negativity bias, for surviving. You need the negativity bias sometimes, depending on the field or career, even to thrive and to be successful. Because you need to be able to differentiate whom you can trust and who you cannot. But the same negativity bias is what prevents us to evolve. The negativity bias makes us judge people and see things that are not there many a times. Or we cannot see the reality as it is. It is like wearing colored glasses. I might be wearing white, but you will never be able to see this as white because you're looking through colored glasses. It does not mean that you have to be positive all the time. None of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It should not come from the lower mind. Most of the times, the biases come from the habitual mind. And at that time, we say, use your intellect. Ask yourself, question yourself, your own thought. Don't believe every thought and every feeling. Question your own thoughts and see, is this true or not? And when we do that, of course, ego gets hurt. And then we keep defending ourselves. I was like this, I felt like this because he or she did this. All of that drama will go on, and the story we tell ourselves.
Right.
Question the thoughts and answer in a most honest way. Once we develop this growth mindset, even the failure, we know about this as quotes. Failure is a stepping stone for success and whatnot. But truly, if we have not failed in life, that means we are in the comfort zone. We have not tried enough. Until and unless we actually feel, we will never know our own worth, our own potential.
You have talked in many of your talks about stress.
Mhm.
What exactly is stress and how can one come out of it?
We know all of this, but it's all about putting into practice.
Yes.
The first and foremost thing is to enjoy whatever we do. Like what we do. We usually want to do things that we like. Some of us, maybe we are lucky that we do get to do that. But if we reverse that statement, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to like it.
So if I have to create a PPT which I don't want to create, still if I start liking it, somehow it will help.
Yeah, how do we like it? It's not
Yeah.
easy. So we had to question, why is it that I'm not liking?
Okay.
So for me, it's all about metacognition, asking ourselves, intellectually figure out the solution rather than just emotionally changing. But once you intellectually come to a decision, and then it is as simple as that. I am going to like this, and that's it. One of the reasons it causes stress for many of us is not harmonizing our thought, word, and action. If we are sensitive enough, if we are not sensitive, we won't even know. Bindas, life goes on. So we need to question our thoughts. Only humans have this capability of metacognition. One more thing
Yes.
about stress, the brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined.
So is this why these, what they call affirmations work, that you're giving, because anyway it is imagined, is also as good as real. So you imagine good things, so then it kind of secretes good chemicals and all.
Yeah, but that is the first step.
Okay, that's not the only thing.
Yeah, the thing is, saying positive things is good, but that's only momentary. To be able to have long lasting effects, our positive thoughts, our positive feelings have to be followed by positive actions. And this whole process, we go into a new realm called neuroplasticity. Lot of work that has happened here. We know how to change our minds. Thinking positive is nothing but changing our mind. We can do that in a flippant manner. Yes, it will help, but it's only momentary. Temporarily it will help. For the long lasting changes in our life for it to happen, just changing mind is not enough. The way we change our mind has to result in the change in the structure and function of the brain itself.
I see.
This whole process is neuroplasticity. And when the structure and function of the brain changes, then our life changes. For the structure and function of the brain to change, we need to change our experience. We need to change our actions. We need to change our habits. Then long lasting changes in the structure and function of the brain can happen, resulting in the changes in our life. But you have to start liking it. But there are two motivators, not just liking. Even fear is a great motivator that will also help us change a lot. For example, some health condition, a young dad says his cholesterol is high, and then that is enough, that fear is enough to change the lifestyle, right?
You mentioned somewhere that, and it's everybody says that, like, we have to live in the present moment. That's what's going to help us. You cannot always really remain in the present moment. When the ability is there to go into past and future, then how do you kind of calibrate yourselves to do it in the right amount and right way?
Yeah, because of rumination, repetitive thoughts. And again, because of the bias that we have, most of the thoughts that are repetitive or ruminating they're all negative ones. If we really go to the core of what does that mean being mindful, to be in the present moment, it's not about thinking. We can't think. Both past and future, they're only our mental constructs. Just imagine, if you have to do something, do you think you can do tomorrow?
Only now.
Only now. The doing part, the action part, you can only do it in the present moment.
So I understand action we have to do now only, but eh, how can I not think about the future, because that is what is going to decide what action I take right now, and maybe my
Absolutely.
past shortcomings or the pitfalls I had fallen into, that is also going to make it. So all these are very much necessary for me to
Absolutely.
what I do now.
It's not about not thinking about the past in that way. Absolutely. The only way we can learn is from the past, and also learning about the future also.
Mhm.
As long as we are learning, just like earlier we talked about suffering, how do we learn from suffering? Are we becoming cynical? Are we becoming self-centered? Or are we learning in a better way to become better people? In a similar manner, the past and the future, we have to reflect on the past and about the future, not ruminate. Because usually depression is caused, usually, generally, because of the past, and anxiety is about the future, unknown future. That is where the rumination happens.
That also causes stress. Like,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, so I think then they are kind of related, that if we are more in the present moment, then maybe
Yeah.
the stress is lesser, and then we have to back it by action and
Not
also
only
it's kind
that,
of
we
a.
use that as a tool to come out of stress.
Mhm.
Being mindful, and along with being mindful, we actually use another tool called CBT, cognitive behavior training. So that whatever we think at that moment, we have to put it into action.
Mhm.
Stress is another thing. Many a times people live in their heads, not putting into action.
Yeah. What is mindfulness? How do I achieve that? Like, are there any techniques for that, or it's? I know people say you close your eyes and all
Yeah,
that, but.
all of that. But knowing, that is one way of doing. But you don't have to actually, you begin with that. That is the easier part, to close the eyes and then focus on the breath, all of that. But we need to be mindful, and most of the time, let me put it this way, that means you're using your higher brain, higher mind to be mindful. And that means you're aware, you're conscious, you're with full awareness. You make any decision, you take actions with full awareness. Otherwise, we will be doing some chores in a mechanical way. Even doing japa or affirmation, you say, A scientific way is repetition of a cognitive cue is the definition for an affirmation or for japa. It says cognitive cue. That means using the higher mind. Then the effect is lot more. Even if you do it mechanically, it will help. No doubt about it. But with full awareness, when we do,
the benefit is much.
Absolutely.
So I think the answer to everything kind of boils down to awareness.
Exactly.
Like if we do things with awareness, then we are in the present. Then we are not only saying something,
Right.
we're actually doing something about it. So awareness is the holy grail.
Yeah.
So you sometimes also say like we don't know how to think. Also, we are never taught how to think. What can we do to make our children learn how to think? Thinking.
Usually, whether parents or teachers, we train the kids about what to think. Read this, don't read that, or this is important, do all of this. It's all about what. We need to help people to know how to think. This is whether it's for children or for parents, for anybody, this is how we can be future ready. To know how to think, not just what
how
to
to think.
What does that mean? What is a thought? What is an emotion? If we can, as you rightly said, we go to all different teachers and gurus, even to learn how to breathe, right? You go to any yoga instructor, yoga teacher to know. That is the subtlest as we think. But thoughts are subtler than the breath.
Correct.
Nobody has taught us. This is where we need to be. We can make it's easier to make children to be aware of their thoughts than the adults, because there is always resistance unless the adult is really ready to be able to make a transformation or a change. All we need to do is to be quiet and then witness our thoughts. See, there are only two types of thoughts according to Vedanta, right? Atma, Anatma.
Sure.
If we think, then we only have to think Atma. No, not necessarily. I'm just saying in a broadest sense. What is an Anatma thought? Then you say, this is Anatma. This changes. This is Anitya. This is Mithya. That is Anatma. Anything, all the other thoughts will come under Anatma. So how can I depend on something that changes? You have to have an anchor that won't change, right? So that is that Atma. Then the Atma state is, I am Nitya, I am Buddha, I am Shuddha, I am Mukta, I am the changeless, I am the witness.
But telling that to an 8-year-old, how is that going to, like,
No,
will they understand?
you just ask, how do you feel? Not at the thought level. It is hard. Thoughts are fleeting. Then you can talk about the emotions and feelings. So how do you feel?
Okay.
When for an 8-year-old, your friend did not call you for the birthday party. How do you feel?
Okay. And then if they say, I feel very bad, sad, or thing. So
Yeah.
now they're becoming aware of the thought.
Aware. First, we need to make them aware of their own emotions, which means they need to put a word with that emotion. Otherwise, how do we say, forget about children, I am angry. Are we angry? I feel that anger, because I am not angry, I'm Usha, or I am this body, and then we say I'm not even this body, but I say I'm angry. We identify with the feeling and we make that, and that's how the kids learn from our language, right? I feel sad, I feel angry. Just to say some chemical releases, that is okay. The kids will understand. The parents have to be conscious and aware of the mental condition of their children, and that has to be the real focus, not just to make the kids listen to the parents. Many a times that is the focus. Our kids have to listen to us because we know better. We are adults, right?
We try to teach the kids many times, like being grateful is very good, and I don't know whether many times we don't follow that, but From a neuroscientist perspective, how does being grateful make any difference?
What was the conventional wisdom? We would think people who are happy, they're always grateful. But what does the new neuroscience research is showing is if you're grateful, you're happier, not the other way around. If we believe in this, this is not faith, this is backed by evidence based research, scientific research. If we know, if we practice right from childhood days, not by writing journals, the kids don't need, even the parents won't. Make it as a play, a game, every day at the dining table. Bring a beautiful a glass jar or whatever, and each one has to put something that they're grateful for in that jar. And somebody else takes up that and then reads and then figures out who it is. And just one being one thing to be grateful for. If we do this on a regular basis, if there are four people in the house, four different things to be grateful for every day, and see how it changes.
In the beginning, you mentioned that one was renunciation and one was service. How does service help? Like, serving in a way is kind of, I am giving away something which is near and dear to me, right? Whether it is time or money or effort or something. So it's kind of, is it not self detrimental?
Yeah, of course. This is how most of us think, right? Many a times we need to realize when we are just signing the check and donating, invariably somewhere or other we are telling others how much we have donated. And
Ego
if we
boosting
are not
exercise more than
exactly,
anything else.
you brought it out, it boosts our ego. It actually uh, it does not help us to become better people. If it helps to inspire somebody else, it's a different thing. If we think about others, I am doing this, that is very, that it boosts our ego. I'm giving away my precious time, my precious money. But what do? We expect results in the other person. Is that person is not changing? I'm putting so much time. That person is not changing. I go read to these children, they're still the same. It's not expecting the results in the beneficiary. We need to expect results in ourselves.
So, what result can I
Bhagavad
expect?
Gita does not say don't expect anything. Am I becoming a kinder person? Am I becoming more compassionate? Am I becoming more understanding?
And becoming kinder is necessary for our
Ultimately, all of this kindness, many a times, outwardly, it results as Shanta Bhava. In other words, happiness is expressed as peace, not just joy all the time. They're both two sides of the same coin.
What has been your sadhana or your learning or your, all that evolution that has happened in the past X years, even after knowing the knowledge? I know you might say that implementing it more or practicality, but what do you do to put it into practice?
Of course, it's all about implementation, implementation, implementation. And because we have to experience, it's not about philosophy, talking about whether Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita, Dvaita, Advaita, none of that. We don't even need to mention any names or whatnot. It is experiencing, right? If you are a real spiritual seeker, not just using scientific tools to make this physical body better or mind feel just calmer, much if you are looking for something deeper like what you're doing, then putting that Vedantic knowledge into action is extremely important. I always said there is a spiritual solution for every problem in the world. Not everybody will agree to this. So once we believe that, then how do we put this into practice? That is by understanding the interconnectedness of all beings and all things for that matter, that will again take you back to Advaita. It has been shown in many of the experiments in quantum physics, right? But they always come to the point, oh, that quantum physics experiments, it's all at the subatomic particle level, not at the level what we are talking, not at the classical physics level. What is subtler than the subatomic particle? Tell me. Our mind, right?
Yeah.
So the same principles will also hold good at the level of mind, the interconnectedness of things. So ultimately, two yardsticks I have. One is, say that as FIT, fit. The frequency of our emotions changing, has that decreased? Intensity of my whatever feeling, has that, if it is negative, has that decreased? If it is positive, it has to increase, of course. And T, the time for recovery, how fast will I come back to a near normal state? The second yardstick is, are you growing spiritually? Are you kinder? Are you more compassionate? Are you more understanding?
Very hard.
You know, in spiritual life, we should never use the word hard.
Hard, is it?
You know the Kannada word for
No, I
hard?
don't know.
It's called kashta.
Okay, Kashta, I know.
Kashta.
Ishta and Kashta.
Exactly.
Okay.
All we need to do is to replace that kashta with ishta.
So
times.
let's say if you meet somebody very early in their career, what wisdom will you impart to them? You'll be fine.
First and foremost is, you need to love to learn new things. And then never be afraid of failing.
That's how you learn.
And make sure you enjoy that present moment, whatever it is. Convert your suffering into service. But now I'm at the stage to which I'm saying, convert your suffering into a blessing.
What does it mean that, let's say, I'm suffering because of too much work at office? Now, how do I convert it into service?
Whatever you've suffered, it has to help you to understand others better. And it doesn't have to be right there helping their others. It can be with other things. You become more compassionate because of suffering. How you learn from suffering can make you do service in other places, what I'm trying to say. Again, you change that to, or you transform that into, make it into a blessing. It's not about just remembering God. Through service, we learn a lot. We learn very quickly too, and we can. It depends on what we learn. We can learn in a very deep manner, and if we learn it properly, that is where we become more compassionate, more loving, more understanding, and even pray for the people who have wronged you. And that becomes a blessing. That suffering becomes a blessing then.
Great. I think this is the great point where we can, for now, close this one. Like how we can turn the suffering to service and then ultimately to blessings. Thank you so much, Usha ji. It was really, really lovely. I took a lot of your time, but it is so much of a learning exercise for myself and for all our friends there. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.